Michael, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Don.
I know you've obviously had a very busy day and on the campaign trail. So, opportunity to talk to the adult state associations. We'll make this nice and easy. The first question: what's your favorite memory of soccer?
That's a tough question to answer. Soccer has been a huge part of my life as far back as I can remember. It was a really big moment for me when I signed a professional contract, and it wasn't the signing of the contract. When I got to tell my parents that I had done that after all the sacrifices they had made for my entire life, that was really special.
Yeah.
When I won the silver medal with the U.S. Maccabi Masters team, was a pretty special time, but I think if I had to pick the most special, it has been seeing the joy on my kids' faces when they play soccer, and having had the chance to coach them and play with them, and knowing that joy and love for the game is I think going to the next generation.
Wow, that's great. I mean, that's perfect. So, do you have any experience of playing in the amateur leagues, or coaching in the amateur leagues, or even being an administrator in the amateur leagues?
Yeah, sure. In the amateur leagues, in college, over the summers, I played in amateur leagues. In the spring, I think colleges now, we were much more restricted when I was in college in terms of how much we could train out of season. And so I played, in the summers I played where I grew up, in Long Island, in the Long Island amateur leagues. We're affiliated with Eastern New York Soccer Association. And in college during the spring, I played on an amateur team in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
So, filled in a lot of gaps. And now, of course, in my older years, I play on a co-ed team in a lawyers league, and I play on a bunch of local teams in my area near where I live.
So, U.S. Soccer.
Yeah.
What can the Federation do to help grow the affiliated adult games, to get more of these unaffiliated leagues to become affiliated?
It needs to, I think two things. We can talk about that for a long time because there's lots. We need to get membership up. We need to create an incentive for folks to register. We also need to get into underrepresented communities. There are lots of leagues and clubs, whether it's ethnically based or otherwise, in underrepresented communities that are just not affiliated. We need to give them an incentive for doing it.
Yep.
And part of that is not only getting into those communities and creating the incentive, but making folks in adult soccer feel connected to U.S. soccer. And I've talked about this, and it's a very simple thing. It's a really simple thing that we can do. But when I was growing up, the first time I made a travel team in my town, we got to sew on patches that said USSF on it. And they had, the leaves, and it was a thing, it was a pride, and it felt like you were part of something bigger. Sending out the decals, my son now, he plays in the DA, and when he had to give back a jersey because they had to iron on the DA patch, it was special, he was excited. I don't think that excitement goes away. People might not admit to it, but I think that is a small step that U.S. Soccer can do to send out those U.S. Soccer decals, get them on the adult jerseys, help building that connection, and that benefits everybody, right? That just creates camaraderie, it creates a connection to U.S. Soccer, and it helps with the fan base.
That's great. So, Saturday in Orlando, you get elected, Sunday morning you wake up, what's your top 3 priorities?
So the very first thing I'm doing the next day is working on mending the fractures. We need to get folks back on the same page, integrated, rowing in the same direction. It's going to be work on our side. It's going to be work on the constituent side. We're going to need to put in the time to build the trust and to get in the same direction. When you talk about the immediate goals, I've got 3 key initiatives that I've had in my platform from the beginning. The first is governance. We need to create a governance structure that is more inclusive, merit-based, and transparent. That affects everything. How you make those decisions, bringing adult soccer into decisions, whether it's refereeing or otherwise, that affect adult soccer. Number 2 is equality in the women's program. And I've said this many times, I don't understand how it is in 2018 now that we are still talking about some inequality between the men and the women. It just shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist. It's inexcusable. It's unconscionable. And it will end full stop under my presidency, and very quickly. The third thing is reducing the cost barriers in youth soccer,
Yep.
both pay-to-play and coaching education. And it's an easy thing to say, I've got a 5-point plan that is going to bring funds in. And very quickly, number one, we've got a big surplus we can tap into. We need to invest in teams to make sure we're not leaving money on the table where public grants are available. Number three, the U.S. Soccer Foundation, getting into underrepresented communities by not only tapping into the private sector money, but by tapping into municipal funds earmarked for infrastructure development. Number four, I work at Ropes and Gray. We represent the largest private equity firms in the world. Bain Capital, TPG. Those are firms that have $75 billion of assets under management. I was in London last week. I got to catch the Arsenal-Chelsea game. It was great. But I was meeting with the CEO of our client, LGIM. They funded the development of St. George's Park.
Right.
We need to get that money invested in the U.S.
Right.
The last source of funding is solidarity payments. And it's not just solidarity payments if you succeed and get the actual payment, but the prospect of the payment creates an incentive up front for clubs to invest, to go to a local market, local communities, and a local source of revenue and ask funds to say, invest in our club. It's the right thing to do. But by the way, if we get it right like I think we're going to, you're going to get that money back.
Perfect. So, 8 candidates. Why should you be the number one choice?
Yeah, look, I want to be president of U.S. Soccer because I want to make U.S. Soccer better. And I'm the best candidate for it. I have almost, a trifecta. I've got the deep soccer knowledge and experience from all angles. I've got deep business knowledge and experience from all angles. And I've got complete independence. And let me just expand on that a little bit. I have no hidden agendas. I have no sponsors. I have no special ties to any constituents.
Right.
My only interest is doing what's best for U.S. soccer, and that is the interest I will put first, invariably, every time. On the soccer side, I've played youth, collegiate, professional. I've coached youth, collegiate. I've managed youth, professional. I understand soccer from all perspectives at all levels because I've done it insignificantly at each. On the business side, in addition to the fact that I started up with one of my colleagues, co-started up a second division A-League professional franchise from scratch. Did everything on the soccer side. I've been a lawyer for the last 17 years at one of the best corporate law firms in the world. We represent the largest companies in the world in their highest stakes matters and negotiations. I am in boardrooms every day with talking to CEOs, talking to boards, figuring out strategy, negotiating settlements with other sides. This is a lot of what it's going to take. I've got that business experience at the highest levels, and I think when you put it all together and you look at the independence and the soccer knowledge and experience and the business knowledge and experience, I've got what it takes to bring all these parties together and get us all moving in the right direction.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in Orlando.
I appreciate it, Duncan. See you there.